Imagine a company so revolutionary that it made golf irresistible to people who had never touched a club in their lives. TopGolf did exactly that. They built an empire on the simple idea that golf did not have to be stuffy, exclusive, or boring. But a $2 billion acquisition turned this cultural phenomenon into a cautionary tale. It is a story about what happens when you fundamentally misunderstand your own business model. In the next few minutes, we are going to walk through one of the most fascinating strategic stories in modern business. We will see how TopGolf went from being the hottest brand in sports entertainment to bleeding value faster than a leaking water hazard. And the lessons here matter far beyond the world of golf. Let's go back to the year 2000, when a Swedish entrepreneur named Dolf Berntsson looked at traditional golf and saw something broken. It was not the sport itself, but the experience, which felt trapped in a museum of tradition. He asked a radical question: what if we applied technology and entertainment to completely reimagine this? The first TopGolf opened in Watford, England, and its genius was in its simplicity. It featured covered bays, multiple screens, food, and drinks, all centered around scoring games that made golf competitive and social. But the real breakthrough was its audience. A remarkable 50% of customers did not identify as golfers. They were young, with 64% aged between 18 and 34, and they wanted an experience, not just a sport. By 2020, TopGolf had 56 venues worldwide, a global audience of 100 million, and partnerships with the PGA and LPGA. They had done the impossible. They made golf cool. Their business model was elegant because it was not really about golf at all. It was a bar and entertainment venue where golf happened to be the main activity. That is the distinction that matters, and it is also the one that would come back to haunt them. Now, let's talk about the $2 billion gamble Callaway took in October 2020. Callaway Golf was a mature manufacturer facing a ceiling on its growth. Meanwhile, TopGolf was the hottest entertainment brand in America. Experiential companies often trade at much higher valuation multiples than equipment manufacturers, sometimes 3 to 4 times higher. Callaway's logic was simple: blend TopGolf's high-margin experience revenue into their business, and the combined company would be worth more than the sum of its parts. On paper, it made perfect sense. In reality, it was a $2 billion bet that two fundamentally different businesses could work together. But the integration never truly happened. One former executive described Callaway as operating from Carlsbad like an ominous overlord, while TopGolf remained in Dallas. They had different cultures, different operational philosophies, and a different understanding of what TopGolf actually was. This lack of integration was just the beginning of the problems. Here is where novelty met a harsh reality. The numbers told a story that nobody wanted to hear, and one number should have triggered alarm bells from the start. The average customer visited just 1.2 times per year. For comparison, a restaurant in TopGolf's price range targets 4 to 5 annual visits. This meant TopGolf had only one shot, maybe two if they were lucky, to extract meaningful revenue from each customer. Then the pandemic changed consumer behavior, and the novelty began to wear off. People stopped seeing TopGolf as a special destination and started seeing it for what it was: an expensive bar where you could hit golf balls. By the first quarter of 2025, same-store sales were down 12% after a 9% drop in 2024. The stock price fell 40% from its peak. At the same time, each new venue cost between $15 and $40 million to build, a heavy burden in a high-interest rate environment. Meanwhile, competitors like Drive Shack and even traditional driving ranges upgraded their technology, commoditizing the top tracer system that was once TopGolf's secret weapon. In November 2025, Callaway sold a 60% stake in TopGolf for $1.1 billion, crystallizing a $900 million loss in just 5 years. So what can we learn from TopGolf's strategic collapse? First, product-market fit is not the same as a sustainable business model. TopGolf absolutely nailed the product, but they built it on a model with inherent limitations. Second, customer frequency is destiny. If your average customer only visits 1.2 times per year, your growth potential has a very low ceiling. Third, high capital intensity is unforgiving. Before building a $20 million facility, you have to stress test your economics for things like recessions or interest rate spikes. Fourth, technology alone is not a durable advantage. Once TopTracer became widely available, TopGolf's edge evaporated, revealing that the real value was the complete social experience. And fifth, integration failures can destroy value faster than market forces. The cultural and strategic misalignment between Callaway and TopGolf turned a promising bet into a massive loss. TopGolf changed golf forever, but its story is really about the gap between a great idea and a sustainable business. It shows how that gap, if left unaddressed, can swallow even the most culturally significant brands whole.